So he felt justified in breaking it to find that. I bit my tongue and waited until after dinner. Then I said, "Son, let's do as we agreed. Let's walk around the yard together and you can show me how it's going in your stewardship." I As we started out the door, his chin begins to quiver, tears welled up in his eyes, and by the time we get out to the middle of the yard, he was whimpering, "It's so hot, Dad." "What's so hot?" I thought to myself. You haven't done a single thing, but I knew what was hard. Self management, self supervision. So I said, "Is there anything I can do to help?" "Would you, Dad?" He sniffed. "What was our agreement? You said you help me if you had time." "I have time." So he ran into the house and come back with two sacks. He handed me one. "Will you pick that stuff up?" He pointed to the garbage and from Saturday night barbecue. It make me sick. He handed me one. "Will you pick that stuff up?" He pointed to the garbage from Saturday night barbecue. It made me sick. So I did. I did exactly what he asked me to do. And what was when he signed the agreement in his heart? It became his yard, his steward. He only asked for help two or three more times that entire summer. He took care of that yard. He kept it greener and cleaner had it than it had ever been under my steward. He even reprimanded his brother and sister if they left so much as a gum wrapper on the lawn. Trust is the highest form of human motivation. It brings out the very best in people, but it takes time and patience, and it doesn't preclude the necessity to train and develop people so that their competency can raise to the level of that trust. I am convinced that if steward delegation is done correctly, both parties will benefit and ultimately much more work will get done in much less time. I believe that a family that is well organized, whose time has been spent effectively delegating on a one to one basis, can organize the work so that everyone can do everything in about an hour a day. But that takes the internal capacity to want to manage, not just produce. The focus is on effectiveness, not efficiency. Certainly, you can pick up that room better than a child, but the key is that you want to empower the child to do it. It takes time. You have to get involved in the training and development. It takes time, but how valuable the time is downstream. It saves you so much in the long run. This approach involved me entirely new paradigms of delegation. In fact, it changed the nature of the relationship. The steward becomes his own boss and governed by a conscience that contains the commitment to agreed upon desired result, but it also releases his creative energies towards doing whatever is necessary in harmony with correct principles to achieve those desired results. The principles involved in steward delegation are correct and applicable to any kind of person or situation with immature pupil. You specify fewer desired result and more guidelines, identify consequences with more mature pupil. You have more challenging desired results, fewer guidelines, has frequent accountability and less measurable but more discernible criteria. Effective delegation is perhaps the best indicator of effective management simply because it is so basic to both personal and organizational growth. The quadrant 2 paradigm. The key to effective management of self or the other through delegation is not in any technique or tool or extrinsic factor. It is intrinsic in the quadrant 2 paradigms that empowers you to see through the lens of importance rather than urgency. I have included in the appendix an exercise called a quadrant 2 day at the office, which will enable you to see in business setting how powerfully these paradigms can impact your effectiveness. As you work to develop a quadrant 2 paradigm, you will increase your ability to organize and execute every week of your life and around your deepest priorities to walk your talk. You will not be dependent on any other person or things for the effective management of your life. Interest, interest, Interestingly, every one of the 7 habits in the quadrant 2, everyone deals with fundamentally important things that, if done on a regular basis, would make a tremendous positive difference in your life. Application suggestion number 1: identify according to activities you know has been neglected in your life, one that, if done well, will have a significant impact in your life, either personally or professionally. Write it down and commit it, implement it. Number 2, draw a time management matrix and try to estimate what percentage of your time you spend in each quadrant. Then log your time for 3 days in 15 minutes interval. How accurate was you estimate? Are you satisfied with the way you spend your time? What do you need to change? Number 3, make a list of responsibility you could delegate and the people you could delegate to or train to be responsible in these areas. Determine what is need to start the process of delegation or training. Number 4, organize your next week. Start by writing down your roles and goals for the week. Then transfer the goals to a specific action plan at the end of the week. Evaluate how well your plan translate your deep values and purposes into your daily life and degree of integrity you were able to maintain to those values and purposes. Number 5, commit yourself to start organizing on a weekly basis. Set up a regular time to do it. Number 6, either convert your current planning tools into a fourth generation tool or secure such a tool. Number 7, go through a quadrant to day at the office. Appendix B for a more independent understanding of the impact of the quadrant 2 paradigm. Part 3, public victory, paradigms of interdependence. There can be no friendship without confidence and no confidence without integrity. Samuel Johnson. Before moving into the area of public victory, we should remember that effective independence can only be built on a foundation of true independence. Private victory precedes public victory. Algebra comes before calculus. As we look back and survey the terrain to determine where we have been and where we are in relationship to where we are going, we clearly see that we could not have gotten where we are without coming the way we came. There aren't any other routes, there aren't any shortcuts, there's no way to parachute into the terrain. The landscape ahead is covered with the fragment of broken relationships of people who have tried to jump into effective relationship without the maturity, the strength of character to maintain them. But you just can't do it. You simply have to travel the road. You can't be successful with other people if you haven't paid the price of success with yourself. A few years ago, when I was giving a seminar on the Oregon coast, a man came up to me and said, "You know, Stephen, I really don't enjoy coming to these seminars." He had my attention. "Look at everyone else here," he continued. "Look at this beautiful coastline and the sea out there. Hap- all that's happening. All I can do is sit and worry about the grilling I'm going to get from my wife tonight on the phone." She gave me the third degree every time I am away. Where did I eat breakfast? Who else was there? Was I in meetings all morning? When did we stop for lunch? What did I do during lunch? How did I spend the afternoon? How did I do for entertainment in the evening? Who was with me? What did we talk about?